Well, hello everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Metaworld News. This week, we're going to bring you our headlines for the week ending the 29th of November 2020, which just happens to be the same date on which we are broadcasting this live, and of course recording it for posterity because you can watch it, well, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout the century, really, and the next century. If YouTube's still around, that
Right,
is.
right.
Just go to YouTube's channel and look up Mal Burns. That's my name. Malburns. But I'm also on Twitter. And on Twitter, they've had the audacity to squash me. It's like all these interweb places, they wanted to squash you. They don't want to make space for you. They just want to squash you and put you in a sardine can, don't they? So,
Hmm.
twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, is where you will find my Twitter feed, and I mention it simply because almost all the links to the news I'm going to be talking about can be found on that feed. And if you click a link in my feed, you will get direct to the actual page, whereas some of the links I read out, unfortunately, end up taking you to home pages and things. So swings and roundabouts, really. Now, this show, Metaworld News, also in squashed form, has its own Twitter feed, twitter.com/Metaworld News, two words squashed into one. And I'm going to start, in fact, with a couple of links from there. There isn't much this week, but that feed just specializes in stuff to do with immersive social worlds, basically. Right. So, have I done the dum-dums? And I got the date and everything else,
Yeah, yeah,
introduced myself. I
yep.
did. So now it's time to introduce someone else, and that is none other than James Atlow, who's sitting right here beside me. Welcome, James.
In my favorite spot. Yes, very happy to be here, Mal. Thank you.
In your favorite, your favorite spot. And I must say, quite subdued today. It's very pretty, but no animations on the shirt.
No, no animations. It's interesting. I'm just not finding any more animated shirts. So now I'm just looking for something a little more subdued. And this shirt is from someone
Yeah,
Northern Kiara's store. And so it's just a nice, very nice fractal pattern. And I thought color
yes,
coordinated
makes
with
the
our
simple.
environment today. So I thought that worked well.
Exactly. You just all you need is a matching hat,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
with the same pattern.
the hat's my hat.
Yeah,
I have to stay with my hat. So
yeah.
it's my, my
Well, for the second week running, for the second week running, I'm introducing James. Not so loud.
true, true.
Oh, sorry, that was my little joke there. Anyway,
A
yes,
little
James
less, a
James
little less
Atlas.
than loud.
That's all less than that,
Yeah,
indeed.
I like that.
Well, James is also playing with all my cameras behind the scenes. So in our other studio, he twiddles knobs, but in this one, he ain't got no knobs to twiddle. Well,
No,
not that we
no,
can see anyway.
no.
So who knows what he's doing? But yes, he's bringing my desktop to you on a separate screen, so
Yeah,
that's mixed in with my avatar picture here and everything else, so you can actually see the things I'm talking about or we're talking about as we go along. So yes, carry on fiddling, James. Yeah, he talks too now and again, as you probably gather. Hello.
as little as possible.
Okay. Actually, this week he's even got some sound effects, but I'll leave that. We'll keep that for a surprise,
Well,
won't
I
we?
had one. Yeah, one.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
I think at this, yeah, when we get to the right, that wasn't the one I was thinking of,
No,
but never
no.
mind. That was that sounded like a sort of Donald Trump being evicted from the White House, rather, didn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. He did pardon some of these critters. That's a
Oh God!
turkey gobble.
Ah, it was so funny watching that clip because
Oh
he was
yeah,
so
yeah.
showman-like about it, but he didn't touch the thing. He just held out his hand and said, "I hereby." I've never seen any other president do it. I hereby pardon you, chicken.
Yeah.
No,
Turkey.
turkey.
Yep.
And yeah. You're pardoned. So it just didn't. It was just weird. It was just
Yeah.
weird.
Yep.
And I could just imagine when the cameras stop, he he has it killed and goes and eats it. Can't
Yes.
pardon. That that would be him all over.
Right, right.
Anyway, yes, that's oh, I'm on air. I better be polite about
Okay, that's fine.
the POTUS.
Yep.
Come on, I can't be rude about a POTUS, can I?
Nope.
They're sacrosanct POTUSes, aren't they?
Mhm. Mhm.
Better better watch my stuff then, hadn't I?
No. No. No
Okay,
need.
well
You're not bound by that.
yeah, let's switch our camera over to my desktop screen at the moment. I've
Mhm.
got a single picture up there, but I'm going to start so I can put it away. Really, I'll start by advertising this. Now, this time next week, we'll be on the second day of the Open Simulator Community Conference, and I will be doing something or other at noon on Saturday and at noon 30 on Sunday. In fact, noon 30 on Sunday, I can tell you we've got people like Tivoli and Acadia on a new platforms panel. Um, but I'm hush hush on everything else at the moment. Polite way of saying I'm not sure. Right, carrying on, carry on. Anyway, so that's December 5th and 6th next week. As a result, we won't be here with the news next week because our
Oh.
broadcasting time. Well, unless we find another way to do it at a different time or afterwards, basically our broadcasting time on Sunday, which is sort of well, it's just gone 7 o'clock here in the UK, so it's 11 o'clock in Pacific, isn't it? Um, yeah, well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter because it's the same time as the OSCC is happening, so we'll be otherwise entangled there, and obviously it won't be here. I'll be literally half an hour away from doing my Sunday panel, in fact,
Mm.
at this
Yep.
time, if
Yep.
I've got my calculations right. So, there you go. Nice little graphic for you, though. The little logo there with a man and a woman, and believe it or not, a hippo.
Mhm.
I'm not going there. The hippo has a secret meaning, a legacy meaning, and there's some clowns who actually wander around in hippo avatars too. But anyway, Open Simulator Community Conference (OSCC) is that 5th to 6th of December 5th and 6th of the coming month. We joined that month midweek, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to go to conference? I'll leave you to spell that for yourselves.
And I think.
Dot opensimulator.org. And if you go to conference.opensimulator.org, you'll be taken to the conference site, and you've got loads of little buttons you can click on to get the agenda and the speakers and everything else you might need to know, and including how to get there and everything else. It's on the conference has its own grid, which is cc.opensimulator.org port 80, I think it is. But you can find that on the website anyway. Right, okay, so I'm going to put that away now. And we have the first of our links. Now, I mentioned we have a Twitter feed for Metaworld News. I've only got two posts from it this week. There are a few more than two, but only two that I've pulled up here. This one came up just this morning, and it's about joining celebrations for our 40th anniversary, except that our doesn't mean mine.
Mm.
It's actually, this is a post at Science Basis blog. So it's blog, blog dot sine dot space. And Science Base, of course, is a mesh-based virtual world platform, quite well known. In fact, their main operating officer is the founder of OpenSim as well, so tend to know him quite well. Basically, starting today, quite literally, 29th of November, going through the 3rd of December, they're having a week of events. Yes, those things beginning with an E. Events. Tonight you've got music with Rosa, then music with Kat, uh, on the boardwalk with Jay and Les. It's interesting actually that they've, despite being tonight, these are all well, they're all quite late night European time. They always give the times in UTC, but um, they do have a lot of events that are much more Euro friendly. Okay, Geek Weekly, whatever that is, on Monday. More live music. James Olmos on Tuesday. I think James. I think James. Isn't James Olmos going to be playing at OSCC?
Yeah, yeah,
Did
he
I
should
see
be.
that passing my?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So you get to see he like what's her name? Rosa, DJ Rosa, jumps all over the place. You'll find her in Open Sim, Second Life, Sansar everywhere, and what's his name? James Olmos is rather similar. He gets around, shall we say, which is all good things. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Artists like going on tour, and these days, since they can't go on tour in the real life, they just have to tour different virtual worlds. Obvious thing to do, really, isn't it? Q&A, office hours in assembly. That's every week. It's not so much an anniversary thing. And music in 3-1 Club, something or other. Blah blah blah. On Thursday, 3rd of December, they're having a real anniversary party from 10 p.m. onwards. That'd be 10 p.m. UTC, which would be 2 in the afternoon Pacific time, anyway, I think. Um, okay, and Adam Frisbee will be there, so I know he'll resurface by Thursday, if nothing else. Right, okay, so moving on, I'm going to put that one away. Um, no, I can't. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, so that's blog.sign.space, and it's listed in Metaworld News' Twitter. Also, Metaworld News' Twitter is this is a post Grid Trek magazine. I think are very prominent inside Second Life, but they don't actually put that much on the web. But this is an article about a Native American film festival and a memorial of Wounded Knee built in Kitely.
Hmm.
It's events gallery number 8. Oh God. Um, well, that's not right, isn't it? Okay. It's got links to film and stuff. Remember that bury my arse at Wounded Knee. That was the phrase I was trying to come to. And 1890, all about the massacre and everything else. And here we are. If you want to find the memorial in world, you go to kindly.com slash seaside dreams. That's 2 words with a space in the middle. Then colon and then grid. That's not right. It's not a workable URL. Right. Okay. If you're hypergridding in, you want grid dot kitely kitely dot com colon and then port is 8002 and then another colon seaside space dreams. Um, that's the way that has been typed doesn't make sense, but it can only be what I just read out. So there
Mm-hmm.
you go.
Yep.
Right, and there you've got a bit of few pictures from whatever, and they're also hosting. Oh, there you are. That's the address. Gallery number 8 in the town centre, and they're also hosting a second annual Native American Film Festival. Currently playing Journey You Through Rosebud. Um, okay. Um, well, anyway, get a kitely and remember Wounded Knee. Basically, it seems to be the gist. Okay, now I'm going to move on to twitter.com/Malburns, where all the main tweets are, so to speak, and my selection for this week. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Probably still far too many, so I'm going to try and get through at some speed. Starting off at skardghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. We have the XR Wheat Peak, which looks at everything AR, VR, MR, XR, and everything but we are, actually, because we are, well, we're just we. Never mind, we'll get to that a bit later. Okay. For those of you who don't know where
I
I'm
was
going.
ready. Right.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, this comes out every Monday, so the news that's being highlighted here is actually from not the week just finished in our time, but the week before that. Um, but they're very good at picking up items, across the board. Some of which is stuff I would have covered here last week or in my Twitter feed. Other stuff is a bit off my radar. When it comes to exotic virtual reality hardware and things like that. I cover major things, but I certainly don't post reviews of every little thing here, there, and everywhere. Sorry. um, but anyway, just a general roundup there. Um, actually, I don't think I've got a link up for this. There was one, or maybe we had it last week. Amazon have announced Echo Frames, which are a pair of smart glasses, although you've got to buy the lenses separately. And when you're wearing them, you can talk to Alexa.
Hmm.
However, it occurs to me that um, maybe they plug into an iPhone or something like that. The thing is, if they're limited to Wi-Fi, they're not going to be very helpful if you're passing a shop and want to, talk to Alexa about what's in the shop. You'd actually need cell phone connectivity for that, and that, from the point of view using Alexa, would be a bit pricey, I would think. But anyway, I'm a big fan of the idea of glasses as opposed to headsets.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, there's a bit about that there. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the O device, which I tend to avoid unless I really have to mention it, for reasons which are becoming fairly well known amongst my listeners and other bloggers. um, yeah, more about the F Empire. Um, Talent show with virtual idols starts in China. That was one I was curious about. I didn't feature it myself, but there we go. And oh, the Void. I think well, yeah, we covered this last week. It's the out of home um, Pioneer VR, but it's now shut down. And VR Chat have launched a premium account system where you subscribe to them rather than the free social space it is at the moment. £99 a year lets users have premium features like a customized badge or favorite avatars. Gosh golly, can't wait. Okay, moving on because, as I say, that is old hat, but a good read. Okay, something happening here. Right. A huge virtual desktop update improves VR latency, new environments, and compatibility fixes. Now, virtual desktop is actually a piece of software that gives you like your normal computer desktop inside your headset. And I think it may be only available in the O headset. I may be wrong on that. No, it is
Yeah, I think the
right.
Rift and the Quest. I'm not sure about others. I don't know if the Vive does it.
Quest
Right.
2.
Yep.
Yeah. So unless you buy the O machine or subscribe to the Zuckerberger empire, then um, this may not be for you. But basically, it allows you to you imagine a giant circular monitor or half circle monitor in front of your face that you see in VR. It's otherwise the same as your PC monitor. Um, have you used this, James? Do you know if it
I've not used
does it
that.
just replicate?
I've used the Oculus Link, but I haven't used that. Yeah, it does. It basically puts your one of your screens or multiple of your screens in the VR space, and it's a floating window
Right.
in the VR space. But the virtual desktop also supports running a VR game from like the Steam store, and then that through
Yeah.
linking can put in, make your O devices like regular
Yeah.
Steam VR devices.
The reason I was asking actually is whether it would put the Mac desktop in there or whether it's restricted to be linked to Windows.
No, this has. I only am aware of this running on Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Well, bit of a sort of one-way alleyway here, isn't it? Really,
It
but
it
I
has been
imagine
for a long
there's
time.
a
Yeah.
bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a bit of fun to be had there if you don't mind being stuck in an alleyway and not being able to go anywhere other than leave the alley.
Right.
Right, okay, moving on, moving on. I'm trying to be polite, you know. Uh, right, IT brief. Oh, sorry, the previous link was at uploadvr.com. uploadvr.com. I've now moved on to itbrief.com.au. So itbrief.com.au. And AR and VR presents a huge potential for the construction industry. But businesses are slow to adopt. Now, obviously, this is well, it is global data, supposedly, rather than although just an Australian site. Um, where are we? Construction industry is slowly shifting from years of wait and watch stance to adopting digital technology from conceptual design to construction. I wonder if there's something called the COVID's got anything to do with that as well. They don't seem to have avoided answering that question. Alternative reality technologies have been used in gaming and entertainment industries for years, and now they've started to make waves into construction by merging digital and physical view of job sites to address various bottlenecks. Blah blah blah. So it's really just announcing yet another field of industry, as it were, that is adopting VR, whether by desire, design, or whether they've just been forced to. Anybody's guess, but that's VR now in the construction industry, as everywhere else, really. Right, moving on to the next page. And Becca Europe. Oh yeah. BECCA dash Europe dot EU. So BECCA dash EUROPE dot EU. And VR Days Europe happened about a week ago. I think it was in Paris, except it didn't. It was all virtual, of course. Um, and Oh, the curator from Venice VR was speaking there too. Right. She's quoted as saying, "Our future is vital." Okay. Let's move down here a little bit. There's the phrase. There's the word. People love inventing words, don't they? And actually, I mean, you can see the physics at the beginning and digital at the end. But try pronouncing it. I don't think whoever invented the word was thinking that far ahead,
I'd try
because
figital, I guess.
Fidgetal. Oh, fidget. That's it.
Maybe figital. Yeah,
So
yeah, yep.
fidgetal. Fidgetal.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's the way to remember it.
It's
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 all about fidgeting.
it's that hard G soft G thing, isn't it?
Yeah, our future is having a fidget. Oh, really? Well,
Sure.
enough said about that, I think.
Yep, yep,
Okay, well,
works for me.
Fidgetal is not perhaps the most elegant of neologisms. Oh, come on. We understand what Railhack was getting at. God, can't there be something English here? Okay, well, anyway, this forget the beginning of that. This is a roundup of the VR Days conference. So they go into the Lava Virtual World, which was open for something called the Church of VR, which makes me cringe.
Mm, mm.
The idea there's a Church of VR. Mind you, there is a Church of Rosedale, so maybe I should shut up. That's in Second Life. And they brought along lots of O's. Yeah, so did them. Anyway, XR, an umbrella term for virtual augmented and mixed reality, is said to become a household feature for many of us in the very near future. There are now 20 million headsets available on the market and 50 million in the next 4 years. I don't want to speculate as to what percentage of those might be O machines, but probably quite a few of them. And yeah, getting on about museums, etc. And well, yeah. So it's a roundup of the conference VR days, which didn't actually get. Well, it's European, and I didn't see too much roundup press about it, or even ongoing. On Twitter there were lots of tweets, about events happening as they happen, but no real overall coverage. So that's quite a nice article. That's Becca Europe EU. So BECCA dash EUROPE dot org. No, sorry, dot EU. Right, let's get back to. Oh, this one's just as bad. Right, this site is News IDW Online DE. So news dot idw dash online dot de. And this is about using virtual reality to better understand auditory perception. All about sounds, of course, research projects, cooperation agreements. Um, how do healthy people manage to filter out the voice of the person they're talking to from a variety of sound sources? Researchers in Oldenburg are investigating this using EEG measurements and virtual reality. Okay. They want to use VR to better understand complex auditory processes, and they're running three projects: one simulating room acoustics, one investigating how the ear accesses distances and movements, and finally, visual stimuli that help direct attention to a desired sound source. So, if you're into sound and the technology behind it, I think quite possibly this is possibly of interest to you. Yep. Well, that's quite a thorough synopsis there, and yeah, it's just got ordinary HTML links for more information. There's no sort of PDF paper or anything that I can see. It's not advertised there. Okay, so moving on again, and we're going to virtualityreporter.com. And this is Fove, another headset people. Fove Incorporated are excited to announce the launch of version 1 of its Fove virtual reality platform with eye tracking. Yes. Major software update will unlock the full potential of Fovio, the world's first eye tracking VR HMD. It's an important standard in future VR HMDs for its use in foveated rendering. The explanation is somewhere else in the article. Um, Applications for eye tracking have expanded into new areas, including medical realm, diagnosing eye conditions, dizziness, drug impairment, all examples of growth areas. And amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, VR can aid in remote diagnosis too. I love this stuff, except that every doctor you get, I see you online, and say, I went to my doctor the other day. This is real me speaking, by the way. And asked if they did video yet. He said yes, but this is a crap picture. We don't bother.
Oh no.
I said, well, my bandwidth's really high, and yeah, it doesn't matter. Ours isn't.
Hmm.
So finally, COVID's has made them wake up to video conferencing, whatever.
Yeah.
The thought that I might go in there and tell them they need to have faux headsets to help in diagnosis, and I would need to have one too. You've got to realise that reasonably affluent people can probably get these things, but there's no guarantee the service on the other end is probably decades away from adopting anything similar. And by the time they get round to it, it will probably belong to the Zuckerberg empire and be incompatible with anything else anyway. So go figure. You know, great news, this sort of technology, but sometimes I have to say, well, yeah, I've long since decided that a GP, a doctor's consultation via VR is just not likely to be a possibility for ages, and it's only COVID that's made them get webcams. So
Yeah.
go figure. Right, moving on. Anyway, that was a virtual reality reporter. That's three words all squashed into one. .com. And moving on, we're on VentureBeat. Now, I think I've got three different posts here about Roblox. Um, Roblox is one of these surprise hits of VR thing that's come around this year, largely probably due to COVID in many ways. Um, they're very big. I would. I would say it's a game more than anything else, but Other people are trying to say it's a metaverse. Dean Takashi here, by the way, at TechCrunch. Isn't it Venture? Well, actually, I think he is at TechCrunch, but we're at VentureBeat for this one. VentureBeat.com. Um, they are having a special event from December 1st, on December 1st, so 10 a.m. PST. Seven portals, seven games, seven quests, seven Reddits, follow the clues, find the treasures. Are you ready? And all this is based on the new novel Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. And it debuts November 24th, which means it already has done book-wise, that is. And a themed treasure hunt with seven user-generated games based on the book inside Roblox. Now, I may be okay. I'm not sure this is the one. I think that Ernest Cline himself is going to actually appear. Oh, yeah, the event will also feature a virtual question and answer with Ernest Cline
Hmm.
and the CEO of Roblox inside Ready to event on December the 1st at 10 a.m. Now, I haven't got a picture of it, but I was quite amused this week by a tweet. Somebody had just picked up their copy of Ready Player 2 and read it and said, Ready Player 2 is less about VR than it is about AR, augmented. No, sorry,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
no, IR, intelligent. Have I got that right? No, IA, right. That's right. Let's say the new novel Ready Player 2 is really concerned with AI, right? Artificial
Oh, artificial
intelligence.
intelligence. Okay.
Yeah, rather than VR.
Well,
But the
IR.
funny
I'm
thing
not
is
ready
that
for IR. I don't know what that is.
no, yeah, 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 IR, oh, AR, yeah, AR. That's right. Anyway, no, sorry, AI. Right. Anyway, the same tweet said, um, I guess the book was also written by an AI.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In other words, they didn't find the book to be remotely interesting or anything near as good as Ready Player One, and I balls it up there, but because I couldn't remember what it was, but the way they said it's about AI, and then said probably written by an AI, so it reads like it's written by an AI. So go figure. Although maybe that's deliberate. I don't know. Anyway, so Ready Player 2 is having an event with Ernest Klein and stuff in Roblox. So you find this article at venturebeat.com. Now, we are going to have another thing with Roblox a bit further on, I believe, but meanwhile, we'll just do it in order here. This is abcnet.org, so abc.net.au. And this is just straight VR experience if you have a headset or whatever. Um, it's the story of Maralinga, a nuclear bomb was let off in Australia. My memory of this is actually before I was born, but from what I know of history, it was probably our fault. I think it was British nuclear bombs. We were exploding them all over Australia. You see what happened. God forbid we'd actually do it here. Um, so, unlikely collision of cultures, state-of-the-art 3D film technology is bringing an Aboriginal man's unique tale of nuclear bomb survival to audiences across Australia. In the 1950s, he was a young man walking and hunting in South Australia's northern deserts. His first dramatic contact with white people came when he witnessed a nuclear bomb explosion at the British, there we are, testing site at Marilinga. Now, as an old man, and with the help of Lynette Walworth and some technology, he's sharing his story in a film called Collisions that's screening in selected venues. Um, all I can say, films with these cameras, I guess, drawn cameras. It's a good review. I haven't seen it, obviously, but it sounds to me like a kind of very worthwhile VR experience. I like it when we're not just looking at escape rooms and games and stuff like that, but we're experiencing. Um, real world narrative, as it were. Especially as if what he's got to say is not recorded now, he's not going to be around that much longer. Um, I was in the Scilly Isles a few years ago. I had family there, and it's full of old people anyway. I'm an old person now, so maybe I should be there. But they had a project going on, which was living history sort of thing, and some not so old people, probably in their 60s or 70s, were busy interviewing masses of seriously old people, i.e., people in their 90s probably, about their memories of the islands and history and all that sort of stuff. And they were filming them on video. It wasn't 360 video. It might even have been VHS tape. It was a while ago now. But I just was fascinated by it because they were just sticking people in front of cameras and getting them to talk. These are people who would never write an autobiography or an essay in their lives. If they put pen to paper, it'd be, just to write a quick letter or jot down a shopping list. But placed on a seat in front of a camera with somebody sort of interviewing them and prompting them about their memory, so all their memories were outpouring. They were looking back over 80 years and things. And some of them remembered the First World War and that sort of period, and others were reflecting on mid-century, 20th century, that is. Um, it was just interesting, and something I felt was well worth doing because this was sort of the average, these are voices that at no other point in history could ever have been recorded except by accident or somebody famous by design. And so when I see something like this, some not long ago Aboriginal, recounted his experiences of the 50s and being nuked by us Brits. Sounds awful, doesn't it? We nuked him, so we got him back to talk about it. I think he must have been on the outskirts of the radioactive zone. But anyway, that's not the point. It's um, it's just his memories that he's sharing a story in his words that will never be forgotten. And white powder killed a lot of kangaroos and the grass. Water was on fire. That's what we saw. Um, he said that he and two men drank the water when it had died, but it was still hot. They were all poisoned in the heart, the blood, and many didn't live very long. It was sad anyway, but anyway, I don't go into the story. But to read about this, go to abc.net.au. Moving on, another site we've been to now and again called dzeen.com, DEZEEN.com, or rather, I should probably say DEZEE.com. One I would never get used to, quite frankly, but never mind. DOTS is a gesture recognition system for people with disabilities. Um, this is clearly something that is designed to work in conjunction with VR and things like that. You can actually see from the illustration there that they're holding the kind of controller thing, but the thing that's in front of them looks like um, it looks like a 3D object in somewhere like Sansar here, where it's got all the directional arrows and things very big for moving and scaling. Um, okay, three graduate designers have developed a body movement recognition system that enables amputees and people with disabilities to use gesture controlled smart devices more effectively. It's called DOTS and it's been shortlisted for DZN Awards in wearable design. Developed by Valentin Kong, and I'm not even going to go there. Three designers from the Royal College of Art here in London and Imperial College London, with the aim of making technology more inclusive. So, to read more about this, you need to either follow my link on my feed or go to dzeen.com, which is DEZEEN.com. And that's quite an effective demonstration. It's got
Yeah.
obviously the person controlling it hasn't got a proper hand, and so he's literally holding the thing and drawing. Yeah, all done with two dots, detecting the movement between any two body parts, and presumably one of the parts could not be a body part, it could be just something static that relates to the other one. I like that.
Yeah.
I can see that being useful for far more things than just disability, actually. Interesting where haptics is concerned anyway, so a good one there. So dzine.com, and you'll find that there. I'm just going to have a quickie. Do, do, do. Let's have a quick play if we can. Oh, there it is, right. Ooh.
My name's Alex Lewis. I am 39-year-old. I like to go hand cycling, and I also do some skateboarding with my little boy.
My name's Neil Palmer. I'm 42 years old. Getting onto the beaches in the middle of nowhere, that's what I would like to be able to do.
I think we have to remember that the millions of disabled people, we all have very different needs and different abilities. What I see is all this incredible technology being aimed at an able-bodied person. And what I'd like to see is the technology being looked at to accommodate people with disabilities like mine. A new way of looking at work. I think because of that, you've made it. We're all on the same page, which is amazing.
Well, I'm impressed by that, I must say. It's in some ways it reminds me of a much more effective version of Leap Motion.
Mm.
Although obviously
Hmm.
it extends well beyond that. But I mean, I put that side by side with Leap Motion for an average user, and it's sort of kicks Leap Motion out of the ballpark. Well, of course, with just two sensors instead of an array and a camera. Anyway, I'm most impressed by that. As I say, it's uh, I think Microsoft HoloLens is the headset they were using in the parts of that where he managed to scale it up and down. Um, yeah. Anyway, read about this at dzine.com. I said it before, I'll say it again. DEZ.
You don't have to say
EEN.
Z, Mal.
All right, DEZEEN.com.
That's
Right,
perfect.
Z in English is the, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like in ZZ Top.
Yeah. Exactly.
ZZ Top. ZZ Top. Yeah. Who? Right, okay, let's move on. Right, gonna scroll down my list here. Still got a few. God, I've got a few to go. Right, okay, moving to this is a site in the UK called uk.investing.com. And the article is entitled Suited Avatars and Digital Offices, Traders and Bankers Embrace VR. Well, what next? Of course they do.
Hmm.
They've got to, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Every week there's another. profession or trade or something that is suddenly embracing VR, probably because they can't do anything else but embrace it. And yeah, this is a report basically from uk.investing.com, which is kind of online investors newsletter, really, telling you all about it. And of course, I've seen the phrase Zoom fatigue everywhere nowadays.
Yep.
It was the big thing at the beginning of the epidemic, but now it's Zoom fatigue, and and now it's a question of sort of promoting VR, 3D spaces, really, as the cure for Zoom fatigue. Um, yeah, nothing lasts forever, does it?
Mm-mm.
Um, cost is the reality. Yeah, so not a cheap business. Anyway, that's an article there. UKinvesting.com is the site we want for that. Next, we're going to readwrite.com. So that's readwrite.com. And this is about virtual dressing rooms set to increase sales during COVID 19. A bit late to say during. You'd think they'd know by now whether it had or not. But yeah, the idea is that before you basically go into a virtual world and try on real world clothing, etc. That's what it's called, a dressing room, folks. In TV, it's a green room, so don't get them confused. Right,
Hmm.
they're different actually, but never mind. Um, it's all about marketing, but like you can even buy a patterned mask to go over your face, but you try it on virtually first of all. Yeah, retail businesses are turning to virtual dressing rooms as an alternative for their customers. With lockdowns and even tiers, as we're calling them in Britain now. I couldn't find a. I wanted to tweet in a week. I couldn't find an intelligent way to actually sort of tweet and at Boris Johnson. It will all end in tears, but of course spelt. Never mind.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's true. Shops are opening, but shops that have not yet found any way to have an online presence, let alone VR, um, are really kind of probably going to be out of business by the end of this, the plague or whatever you want to call it. Uh, Global giants like Macy's and Adidas have led the way. Smaller retailers slowly following suit. Amazon's also in the virtual dressing room development as its online retail model continues to gobble up market share. Yeah, of course, we forget that actually Zuckerberg is not the only gobbler out there, but there we go. There's quite a few gobblers when you think about it. Anyway, all about dressing rooms, virtual dressing rooms, that is, and you find that link at readwrite.com, readwrite.com. Readwrite is all one word there, by the way. Right, this next, so this is a post about Roblox yet again. This is a site called Seeking Alpha. Yeah, that's a weird one. SEEKINGALPHA.com. And they say it isn't in video games, it's a social gaming company. Now, do anybody other than me find that a bit of a weird headline? I mean,
uh,
the suggestion in the first half is that they're not into games, and the second half is it is games. It just happen to be social games, but social games are video games. So how it's a sentence of contradiction. But the CEO of Roblox has been writing articles all over the place about something most of us would tend to agree with him about, and that is the future need for a metaverse. And I mean, it would be. I mean, I've got to reflect back to the early days of Second Life when we all thought, this is a wonderful template. It's getting bigger and bigger. We can bring the lifestyle people can. We can bring businesses in. We can create shops in here. We can build an economy, all that, and it all happened. But and we thought, it's the core of the metaverse we're building. But then suddenly it clicks we weren't building anything like a metaverse because everything was locked into the walled garden that Linden Labs owned and operated. There was no way you could jump out of the world that wasn't housed by Linden Lab. There wasn't a way you could use currency other than in the Linden Labs currency network. Um, so you were actually stuck there. But the idea, and then the nearest thing that came along was I would, sometimes describe it as an open source Second Life, and that is OpenSim, which of course has the hypergrid these days, which Krista Lopez invented, which allows you to jump from one grid to another, which is really like being able to jump out of Second Life to a competing grid. The hypergrid links it all together. But there again, it's a fairly small part of the online societies that are around. It's one of the best of its ilk, but it's been no, it'll be discussed at that conference next week. But it has in many ways been overshadowed by stuff that isn't as good, but is more dominant, more easy, and more quick. Things like that. Um, Robots being a classic case here, which is quite interesting because I think Roblox kind of see a metaverse being built out of their Roblox, if you see what I mean. And they are going around saying they're not into video games. Um, um, but then they're going to say I'm a social gaming. What they mean is a social world company. Um, have it both ways. You see, this is the problem. Um, Roblox has been called a thermonuclear IPO and huge, and no wonder, as it allows players to interact in a simulated 3D environment called wait for it, metaverse. And when they held their annual awards, its developer had 60 million players during the celebration. And now during the pandemic, it's holding events for its community. Um, its business model combines gaming and social, and it fits the Anderson Horowitz model as it is free and widely available across gaming consoles, PCs, and even mobile. More importantly, friends can play together across different platforms. Um, Now, I don't exactly know that my interpretation of platform is the same as theirs. I think they mean same platform, but between mobile and PC and console, rather than actual different platforms. Anyway, read more about that. So I'm not going to dwell on it now. Anyway, interesting site. Anyway, seekingalpha.com. SEEKINGALPHA.com for that one. Moving on. Now, I mentioned earlier that James had a few surprises in store for us today because it is time for this week's visit, or one of this week's visits, to
Oh.
Vroom. Okay, well, we got there in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were going to say it first.
we
That's all right.
Oh no, I thought I'd let you do it instead of me saying it. But anyway,
Okay.
okay, we're at Vroom.com. This is VRROOM dot and then BUZZ or ZZ. Take your pick.
Yep.
BUZZ. Right. Vroom. Buzz. Right. Love it. Right. Oh, cough. Sorry, I've got a bit of pain in my ribs, so I just
Ah, ah.
triggered it. Right, the Royal Opera House, presumably London, is to present VR work in Current Rising. Described as a hyper reality opera that comes in collaboration with the house's Audience Labs, Figment Productions, and the Royal Holloway University of London. The work developed by a female led team funded by UK Research and Innovation is 15-minute opera experience that blends virtual reality with a multi sensory set. Current Rising is directed, never mind, and the work will run from December the 19th this year until January 17th next year. So next year being 2021, of course, if it ever comes. Right. Okay, a little bit more about it there. Not anything too extensive, but anyway, you'll find this post out. Where did we say, James? Yeah, .com. No, sorry, .buzz.
That
We
buzz.
need a we need a we need a room, and then we need a chainsaw
Oh,
noise.
okay, all right.
Combine them together, we'll have the audio equivalent of
Or a
a link.
honeybee.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, for room.buzz,
All
I've
right.
spelled it out enough times.
All right.
Right, moving on to uploadvr.com. And Sony have patented a VR headset. Yes, there's another headset. This one has a haptic feedback generator built into it. The patent filings reveal um, more work in VR space. This time it's a headset that uses sensors to tell you you're wearing it right and even features room for haptic feedback.
Hmm.
I guess they could build Alexa into it. So if you put it on and it feels a bit uncomfortable, Alexa could then say, "You're not wearing it right." So anyway, it's got a sensor to tell you if you're wearing it right. That might be useful. After all, I'm sure there's 100,000 different ways you could wear a headset.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's something to do with the patent. That bit looks familiar. That bit, well, I guess that's an aerial view, isn't it? And Yep, that's a different patent. I think the PS5 one. Anyway, you find this at uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com. Pretty much a reprint of a press release there. Returning to our good friends from the beginning of the week, scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And Yep, they found a new enterprise headset is awaiting us in 2021. Um,
Hmm.
Yesterday, by the way, is Virtual Reality Day, I believe, or was it Saturday before? No, I think it was yesterday. Um, Yeah, he was actually one of the speakers, but let's get on to the proper business here. During our fireside chat on the stage, we talked about immersive realities and Chinese technological ecosystem, um, comment on the presence of HTC and give us a sneak preview of the future. And they confirm rumors of a new HTC headset coming in next year. We're going to release a new device, he said. So, gosh golly. Okay, that's Scar Ghost and the president of Mr. Mr. President Graylin of HTC. Yes, fair
Okay.
enough. Um, okay, so statement is no surprise, blah, blah, blah. Okay, as usual, Scar Ghost has gone into great depth writing an article on the theme of that post. Although, actually, once you get past the first two lines, you realise that all he's actually told us is there's a new headset coming from HTC. Everything else is sort of a comparison with the present. So, anyway, you find that at scarredghost.com. Right, here's another fun Earl. This is Act 2 Epphy. Ch.
Oh, I've got no
Oh,
sound for
yeah.
that.
Well, you haven't got a sound for this one. No, I don't think you could do. Okay, it's ACTU dot EPFI dot CH. And it's all
Hmm.
about virtuality helping measure vulnerability to stress. And Yeah, another pretty technical article, really. Swiss National Science Foundation. Although I don't think that's got anything to do with the Earl I gave you. Act two.
Just the
I'll
CH
do it
part.
again.
Yeah.
ACTU dot EPFI dot CH. Yeah. Um, let's have a quick peek. I don't think this was a long one, but I'm not.
Mm.
In this study, we showed the strong informative power of behavior to predict which individuals present a high vulnerability to stress. We use machine learning approaches applied to high-density locomotor data obtained while participants explore virtual reality scenarios. And we developed a model that predicts which individuals will display heightened or aberrant cardiovascular responses when exposed to highly stressful conditions. With this approach and model, we can now identify which persons are particularly vulnerable to stress without the need to expose them to highly stressful conditions, which could be dangerous for these people. Identify application of individuals that present vulnerability to stress is important for both prevention and treatment development, and we expect that our study will help the application of early interventions for those individuals at risk.
We wanted to measure stress, so everyone was equipped with sensors that measures the activity of the autonomic nervous system. Participants were also equipped with the VR headset, of course, and motion capture sensors, so we could analyze how they move and how they explore, and then use these behaviors to predict the stress response. So the first environment consisted of an empty area with the same dimensions as our laboratory room. We allowed people to explore freely, and from the behavior they expressed in this environment, we could already use some features to predict stress later on. Some of these behaviors were how close they were to the walls, their trajectory focus, or how much they scanned the environment. Participants were then brought to the streets of a virtual city where they could contemplate the surrounding buildings. They were then brought up to an elevated alley composed of 3 patches with different widths. Behaviors like time spent in the narrowest patch or the vertical acceleration of the headset were used by our model together with the open field behaviors to predict parasympathetic responses in the third and last virtual environment. This last environment consisted of a set of dark corridors which participants had to explore using a flashlight for 90 seconds. We introduced short bursts of noise and human-like figures to increase unpredictability and a sense of persistent threat. During this scenario, and unlike the previous scenarios, participants showed a clear parasympathetic withdrawal. Finally, we also asked a subset of participants to perform a stressful task in virtual reality in order to generalize our model's predictions to a different stressor. Here, participants had to perform a series of fast mental calculations while avoiding to fall into gaps on the floor, which would appear each time an incorrect answer was provided.
Well, there you go. um, stinted English at the beginning there, but it's improved later on. Okay, again, this is all technical stuff really, but you can see the article actually has a good summary of what it's all about in text form as well. So you want actu.epfi.ch is the link for that one. If in doubt, go to twitter.com/malbones, or one word, and click on the direct link for the page there. Right. I think we may have mentioned this last week, so I'm not going to stay on it. Cyber shoes. These are shoes you
Yep.
can use in VR. They are for the O machines, so but they're more compact and cheaper than a VR treadmill. The only news here really is that they reached their funding goal on Kickstarter in the first day, so you can be pretty sure these are going to come along pretty quick. Obviously, no delay in people wanting to sign up for a pair of them. And they were pretty cheap, although early bird price $280 US. Oh, oh no, that's something else. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they've got their target, but there's still 36 days remaining for the campaign to close. So presumably, if you send them more money, you still get bonus first copy or whatever. Okay, moving on. A Swedish startup, Alloverse, lands 250,000 euros to launch open source VR platform for virtual EU startups.com. Blah blah blah. Right. Here they are. These 5 apparently are the 5 behind Alloverse, ALLOVERAC, which is Swedish VR startup. It's an open source platform. They're developing. That's a good sign. They've closed the pre-seed round at 250,000 euros, and they have an ambitious mission of building the future of the 3D internet by keeping their technology open and growing a global community of VR AR enthusiasts. Okay. Right, their focus seems to, I mean, at first sight you say, oh, this all sounds great. It does sound like this is pretty much a headset only sort of what they're intending to build, rather than something that works in 2D as well. that's right. Sorry, I'm getting a bit phased here. Okay, as I say, it's called Alloverse, but you want eustartups.com. So EU-startups dot com to find out more about that. I particularly will be keeping an eye open for that phrase, Alloverse. Um, okay, they found a Nordic investor called Icebreaker. Uh, okay. Very interesting. Well, whenever I read about these things, it's okay saying, "Oh, it's a startup and it's European and they're going to be open source and it's going to be a virtual platform, virtual collaboration, and everything else." And at the same time, we hear that they're getting venture capital, seed capital, and you kind of think, "Well, hang on a sec. Venture capitalists are going to want payback down the line. How do they get this? If you have something like open source." Um, does it mean, for example, like Philip Rosedale's High Fidelity, does it mean that the platform itself that was funded has to keep some things under wrap, like they did with their audio codec? I don't know, but whenever I hear venture capital and open source in the same sentence, I think does not compute.
Hmm.
But there are different ways of looking at it. So moving on from that. So eu-startups.com. Okay, moving on. My God, it didn't seem like this many when I was doing them. Right. Diamantis.com. This, of course, is Peter Diamantis, well-known personality indeed. This is his private site, diamantis.com, diamandis.com, and it's an article called VR Leaps into the Disruptive Phase. He certainly knows his history here. He does mention the O machine, which is unfortunate, but he then continues into the brief history of VR and disruptive phase is surges in VR investment and the future of VR, immersive education and emotive education. And yeah, it quotes Jeremy Pelson here somewhere and Philip Rosedale somewhere. Oh, that's further up there. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And right, you can visit abundance360.com. That's his other site, but um, it covers a whole lot more. The age of abundance. Right. Moving on. arpost.co. There's arpost.co. No or anything like that. Lucid Web offering immersive experience platform to VR film festivals. Um, they've been around the world. Basically, this is services that they are supplying to virtual events, particularly film festivals. And they're citing VR Days Europe that we covered earlier as one of the uh, events that used them, and Steam. Um, yeah, anyway, you'll find this arpost.co for more on that little article. OpenBCI announces brain computer interface designed specifically for AR VR headsets. Yes, exactly. Um, this is a neurotech company who are behind the open source brain computer interface, hence the BCI. And they're making new hardware and software, especially for immersive headsets. A company called Gallia says its new hardware is designed to attach to both AR and VR headsets, arriving with multiple sensors designed to monitor biometric data streams in real time. So I think the idea here is this kit will actually fit over an existing headset, whether it be an O device or HTC Vive or whatever. Presumably, there's some flexibility in that design. It looks like plastic, doesn't it? I mean, so it would stretch to fit over whatever you're going to put it over. Um,
Some kind of a
anyway,
surgical
the idea
plastic,
is,
yeah.
The idea is very similar to what we heard from Val's resident experimental psychologist during last year's GDC talk on how BCR would change the nature of game design. And right, no, that's another post. Um, okay, well, it's all founded on the back of an already successful Kickstarter campaign. Um, Company's hardware is already used by researchers, academic labs, artists, and developers across 89 countries. So they're doing quite well for themselves by the sound of it. Okay, so this post is at roadtovr.com, roadtovr.com. And now we're moving on to a site called techradar.com, techradar.com. And the future of video conferencing could be in VR. Um, we keep reading the stuff about Zoom fatigue and stuff, and oh, forget video conferencing, go to VR. Um, this article is taking the idea that it actually may be video conferencing itself that becomes a VR environment. In other words, I suppose you can imagine the idea is that you're an avatar in a virtual room, and you're talking to another avatar in another virtual room. So you're not in the same room as you might be in a social world, but you're both in VR environments. And there's actually some talk of how with the increasing need for bandwidth. Things like Zoom and Skype are getting a bit flaky because they need a lot of bandwidth, and increasingly that bandwidth is now being desired a whole lot more. Um, so let's see. New research indicates employees do not feel ready to return to work, but are growing frustrated by the amount of time spent video conferencing. Virtual reality tools could hold the answer to enabling workers to feel more connected to their colleagues whilst addressing safety concerns. Surveying 1,000 office workers, HTC5 found that 74% remained concerned about the risks of returning to work, but 36 also expressed exhaustion after being faced with hours of video calls. And 58% were open to the idea of new technology in the workplace, suggesting there remains an unexplored business opportunity to be had. And anyway, they go on about how that could, of course, be VR. There are also lots of Zoom plugins that actually create virtual environments, and so much so, actually, James doesn't even know this yet, but earlier in the week, I got delivered. I had to wait for them a while. One is like a fold-up room divider I had to put together myself, and hanging over it is a professional green screen.
No, okay.
So I can now instead of going into Zoom and choosing a virtual background and blurring the background behind me, I can actually pose in front of a green screen. I actually realise it's taking up more room than I've got, but we'll sort that one out when I come to use it. I haven't tried it yet. I've set it up, but I haven't had the good cause to actually try it,
Mm-hmm.
and load a background. But increasingly, I can see all these sort of things. I mean, a virtual world and an avatar in Zoom is still Zoom, isn't it? But I think the idea is in some cases that can help with the Zoom fatigue because although it's still Zoom, it's a bit of a different attitude to it. Although personally, I think a virtual world um, may solve it better. I think the problem is with Zoom calls, you can't easily go AFK. Well, you can, but it's pretty obvious. In a large group of people in the virtual world, it's probably much more easier. You leave the avatar hanging around there. They think you're there. You're just not talking too much. Obviously, in a one-to-one or even a one-to-three conversation, that becomes a bit obvious if you vanish. But in a greater context, not so much so. And I've often found that having a virtual world, a room open, you can go to a concert or something or a party and somebody's invited you and you put the music on and you think, oh my God, I can't listen to this drivel. So you turn the volume down and you're well known anyway for talking and not using text chat. So actually you just stay in there for a couple of hours and people think you're there, because your avatar's there and they know you're not the most talkative of people when it comes to text. So, for all they know, you were there grooving to the music for 2 hours, not sort of turning the sound off to play something else.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say
you know,
you
and
can dance for hours too.
yo, strap on a dance, and
Put on a dance and
I
dance for
quite
hours.
honestly, I've sometimes gone to one of those events here, like before this show. There was one here in Sansar. I was only there half an hour. It started an hour before the show, but it was pretty dire when it came to the music pumping away. Um, but I just sort of put the shade. I just switched off the volume because I have to do that mechanically for the show anyway, because of the way we do sound in here. And but many times I've been to events like that, and there've been people there that I know, and sort of I've just hung around, and often I just turn down the virtual world music and then load something I want to listen to in Spotify. So I've used a different sound source basically, and I'm still bopping them away. The, the the dance I've strapped on has probably got the wrong tempo, but you can't have everything, can you? And that's if it's just a general thing, it probably doesn't matter. But sometimes you are in an environment where you've got actual friends there, and you don't want to disappoint them by, they'll IM you if they want to talk to you directly, right? So you can ignore the group, the region chat, and you can ignore the music and still be there. So yeah. Anyway, I think those of us have used immersive environments over time have learned the ideal way to tweak these systems for ourselves. Using multiple levels of input and outputs and multiple platforms and pipes. Not endlessly. You can't use everything at the same time, but finding our own combinations. Anyway, I'm peering upwards because I can see that I might have got. If I'm not careful, I'm going to have a long way to climb to get out of the rabbit hole. So here goes. Right, I'm out.
The way's
Okay,
just a short way, not a long way.
just a short way. Yeah, hadn't gone too deep there. Yeah. Okay, so the future of video conferencing could be VR. So read about that at techradar.com. TECHRADAR.com. And moving on, we've got another post at AR Post, arpost.co. And it's interviewing Meet Brendan Bradley, the artist turning to virtual theatre. Basically, it's an interview with some guy who's got a project called Future Stages.
Hmm.
And yeah, he tells you all about it, basically. So, in a live production, when an actor wanted a prop, it used to take weeks to have one made, not so on the virtual stage. Um, we can sum up any prop in the world, and I think there will never not be a digital component to live storytelling going forward, forward in time, obviously. And this one, James, you'll like this. He's opted to host his productions most recently on Mozilla Hubs,
Ah, yep.
which is a hardware agnostic platform for immersive videos and experience can even be accessed on
And
most
so easy
smartphones.
to get into. Yeah, so much better
Yeah,
than anything else. It's so hard to come into
yeah,
these worlds. It's such a challenge. In
yeah.
hubs, you just pop right in, and there you go.
You just click away,
Bob's your
and there are
uncle.
quite a
Yep.
few. There are quite a few web-based ones like now. I actually had a couple. I think you'll find them in my Twitter feed. I haven't mounted them here because there are problems if I try and mount a virtual environment on our display screen here. But I mean, it can be done. It's a matter of getting out of it. There's one I went to in the week and it immediately went full screen, and the escape button did not get me out of the full screen mode.
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling for hours trying to figure out how am I going to get out of this world that's just gone full screen from the web. And I know how to do that myself. I used to years ago. I had a script on pop-ups that immediately made them full screen. However, I did leave a little button there so people could close the window. This one wasn't so kind. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, this is at arpost.co, arpost.co, and yeah, November 26th. So that's what, 5 days ago,
3 days.
right? Losing track totally. Right. Oh no, this one is rather interesting, or should be interesting, but you've got to ask how many there are. It's called the best VR engines for enterprise applications, and this is at vrfocus.com. vrfocus.com. Now, forgetting virtual reality, which is describes, immersion and simulated 3D environments. Um, all these things are run by engines. Sansar, where we're broadcasting from, has its own proprietary coding engine that it built, or rather, Linden Labs built it as a parallel engine to the one they use for Second Life. Um, Majority of games and virtual environments, especially the newer ones, tend to be made with either the Unreal Engine, Unreal as in not very real, UNREAL, or with Unity's engine, which is UNIT. But there are more to it than that. Even Amazon actually has one, which I believe is, I think it's still open source. I think they bought it and made it open source.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
Lumberyard,
we
is
are.
that Amazon's?
I think it is, but
Yep.
this is Sumerian, right? This
Hmm.
was developed by Amazon Web Services. You don't need 3D graphics or VR programming. The engine works with popular VR platforms, including Oculus HTC 5, Oculus HTC 5, Google Daydream, which is no more, and Lenovo's Mirage. It also works well with Android and iOS. Anyway, I'm not going to read out the whole thing. The next one they list here is Maya. Maya, I probably before I'd ever heard of Unity or Unreal, I'd heard of Maya. It's been around for ages, but it's I think it's yeah owned by Autodesk now, but it's never been cheap. I know that. You used to get demo trial versions on CD-ROMs on magazines 20 years ago and things. And of course, it's grown with the times and is one of the most powerful engines around. Remember, this article is saying for the enterprise, so it's not. They're not. They're listing things that will probably be way beyond any individual's budget, unless they were rich or really fanatical. Google VR for everyone. Um, I didn't know Google was still running a engine, but apparently. Final thoughts. Okay, well, there's got a whole load there that even missed out, but as I said, that is it's been concentrating on the enterprise um, applications there. So you'll find that post at vrfocus.com. This next one, this is normally behind a paywall, but it did let me through to this one, which was surprising. Um, Right. A top tier way to explore art in the era of social distancing. Easel, spelled with a Z instead of an S, you get it? EAZEL, is a platform for virtual galleries and it presents one White Cube Hong Kong's project Encounter. An expert view brought to you by an XR panel of artists and storytellers who create in virtual reality and augmented reality. And yeah, so you get a panel. Now, hang on a second. That's not. Is it? Oh no, I've I've done the wrong thing, haven't I? Right. Sorry about that, folks. Too many clicks spoil the broth, or whatever the phrase is. Right. Um, Multifunction digital art platform that hosts virtual galleries and fairs. And the Hong Kong Encounter is a project in two parts that has been authored on the platform. Working with that gallery's represented artists. And yeah, it goes on to tell you all about it. Um, yeah, um, the art newspaper, I get an RSS feed from them, and but they usually I can't even get in there. It's like subscription only for art world professionals. Um, but the RSS feed often shows you've got a bit. I was really surprised when I actually got into that because obviously the slant of that article is from an art expert, art industries perspective. So to find that, you need to go to theartnewspaper.com. Three words as one: theartnewspaper.com. Moving on. Well, here's a note that I guys. After that lot, it's going to be a joy to read this one out. sfu.ca. Easy. don't know what it means, but it's easy. Right, learning as avatars transforms virtual classrooms, and virtual teaching has become the new norm, etc., etc. And well, there's no audience here, but maybe James, do you recognise what platform that is?
Is it possibly Engage the way the avatars look?
No, it's Tivoli.
Oh, it is. Okay.
This is
All right.
one of the high fidelity offshoots.
Oh, okay.
They're Caitlin, their boss and former assistant to Rosedale, that their hi-fi is going to be on my panel next week, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this actually is independent. This SFU, San Francisco
San
University, I
Francisco.
think.
Yeah.
Steve DiPiero and Jeremy Turner saw opportunities to push virtual worlds further, and they're doing it this semester by enabling their students to become avatars. Students and instructors are using Tivoli Clavier in classes led by these two in the School of Interactive Arts and Technology, and they get to set up their own personal avatars and join the virtual classroom. The researchers are using new open source virtual reality platform, i.e. Tivoli, to experiment with advanced and cutting edge techniques. And users can navigate about the room, etc. This is stuff that is kind of old hand to those of us, many of you out there, I'm sure, who've used virtual worlds. But it's obviously new to some people having to move their classrooms and things into virtual worlds. And it's nice to see that as a completely recent, it's only about a year since Tivoli launched as an offshoot using the open source code from Philip Rosedale's High Fidelity. And it's quite good to see this stuff there already. I did have one query about it. It's actually about 2 weeks ago. I actually went to one of these. I landed in the room behind the screen, and I had to walk through this door and up some stairs, which are kind of at the here, and onto the seats. And you can obviously see the other people sitting, although you can't see their backside, because they are sitting on a sort of thing. And I had a problem because I couldn't get any sound. I relogged several times, and the fidelity, the avatars were great, the movement was great. I could see exactly what was going on in the slideshows, but I couldn't get any sound, and it was very, very odd indeed. And I've been to another thing in Tibet recently, and it took me about 3 or 4 relogs to get the sound to come on.
Hmm.
But they are new, so it's and every computer, as we all know, is a bit different. In terms of especially Windows computers tend to have a appalling record when it comes to doing the right sound in the right place at the right time. Um, but there we go. Anyway, so that was very interesting, and nice to see that Tivoli are getting their end in there as well.
Yeah.
So you'll find this at sfu.ca for that article. I suppose that should be in the Metaworld news feed, but never mind. Deserves exposure in the big feed. Right, now we're on to vrscout.com. And anecdotal here, really. You can engage with French culture through XR and art. The French Embassy have launched a series that explores art and XR to promote culture. This is the French Embassy in the United States,
Mm.
by the way.
Mm.
They give Americans opportunities to engage with French culture, and they partnered with We Are Museums, Museum Connections, Pixie Festival, Kaleidoscope, and Fabuleux to create a series of online meetups featuring key professionals from the XR and museum industries. And yeah, I think this may be a bit longer than we really want to watch, but we'll just have a quick go. Yeah, this is 40 minutes long. Um, at YouTube, okay, I'll just go quickly open that in a new tab. As usual with these, you'll get is the thing anyway. The site at YouTube is called We Are Museums. If you actually want to look at that, that's about 40 minutes. This video, and it's only episode 1 of a continuing series. So be warned, or enjoy, depending. Anyway, you can obviously go to vrscout.com and read this article, and you can click through to the video from here yourself as well, um, if you have any difficulty. Yeah, so Franco Files over in the States there. Get on with it. The second session is going to be how to distribute immersive artworks in a museum. Scheduled for December the 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we have a producer from the United Kingdom there, and Centre Fee in France, Institut Francais in Paris. They're in London too, actually, and you can register for that on Eventbrite and all these others, actually. So, um, for example, actually, I better not do this. They require too much information to be. I'm not going to do it live on air.
Yeah. Yep.
Try and remember to register for that later. Now I've actually lost my place in my list. Um, can't be far away. Oh, we're getting near the end. Okay, that's better, isn't it? Okay, moving on. That was vrscout.com, by the way. We're now moved back to vrfocus.com, vrfocus.com. XRI launched a survey examining diversity and inclusion within the XR industry. This is more about not so much a sort of diversity and inclusion in the access to VR and XR. It's actually more the people in the industry themselves. How many, I don't know, disabled, if that's the right person, or lesser enabled people are employed, within the industry itself. Um, XRI's global members, they have a free XR startup kit, and it gives checklists, templates, and training focused on vital business areas such as job descriptions, hiring, unconscious bias, go to contact, and safe channels of communication, and various other things. So basically, a resource for people, maybe looking for jobs or work or whatever in the XR industry. That can be AR, VR, MR, whatever, and needs sort of advice because of their particular circumstances. And there's a link there to the survey that they launched on the current state of affairs as well. Right, so that is vrfocus.com. We're moving on now to this is going to be great fun. Terminus is a wild psychedelic VR ride. And wonder if James is out there ready because this article is that none other a site than yay vroom
Vroom.
dot buzz VRROOM dot BUZZ. Yep, and yeah. On Friday, he sat through a monstrous temple hundreds of meters above a dizzying labyrinth and watched giant naked men do calisthenics.
Ah.
Gosh, I communed with an alien horse and watched a frankly terrifying worm thing wriggle towards me while the floor dropped away and an endless plane of classical columns rolled off into the distance. Then things got really weird. No, I wasn't sampling some unknown fungus or flouting the drug laws. I was at an exhibition. Right. Drawings by Jess Johnson, brought to life by animator Simon Ward and developer Kenny Smith, enriched with soundtracks from composer Andrew Clark. Arcane World is illustrated over several years. Terminus is a virtual reality experience in 5 parts. Um, there's some shots. That I think is a real world gallery where you go and can start it. Um, right. Yeah, there was. Her body was at Lower Hutt's Marvelous Dowse Art Gallery, which is there. And there she is after her body has vanished into the metaverse. uh, it's crucial, in these travel restricted times that Terminus is an absolute trip.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anyway, it tells you more about it and some nice little pictures. Obviously, the pictures are actually just showing you the view from the gallery with the headset on, not the actual view you see from within the headset Although I don't know, maybe that one. I don't know. It sounds like it sounds like great fun. It says a never-ending story, The Dark Crystal, Kroll, Willow, Legend, even Brazil, Terry Gilliam's bleak social satire. She can see a little of all of them in Terminus. And they set you off world building at breakneck speed, and you either rolled with it or got left behind. It's explaining next to nothing, just dropping you in the middle of the action and letting you figure it out. Anyway, I won't. Oh yes, there's a quote here. I won't spoil the magic. As if right. Okay, so this is at. Go for it, James. VRROOM dot BUZZ. Complete with sound effects. But wouldn't it be nice if I could give you a link that gave you that sound effect when you clicked it? Doesn't work that way, does it? Okay,
Not
we're
that
getting to the
particular
end here.
one, right?
Finally. Um, we are at the same size again, so go for it, James. Let's overdo it. Yeah, VRROOM dot BUZZ. And this is another article completely. It says here VR uses volume count to build a home unlike any other. And VR quite literally hits home. An adaptation of the 2014 Richard McQuire graphic novel, which was previously an actual comic strip in 1989. It's a VR experience in which humans are a supporting cast, and the starring spotlight instead is placed upon the four walls that house them. It opens to a cozy, if relatively drab living room, but quickly catapults you into a rather amazing journey. um, Most of the pictures on this one are also pre-production. They're obviously filming a whole load of stuff against green screens here, um, sort of to 7-year dream quickly materialised into reality, and it was shot in LA just before Christmas last year, so luckily avoided the complications of 2020. So it was all done before COVID, fortunately. And there's a more closely exampled rendered version of what's going on there. And yeah, quite like this. I'm trying to figure out whether that's I think that whether that's a screen on the floor in the room, or whether that's some kind of inset to do with the flashback to the year. It's all a bit weird, but it certainly looks very interesting. I love it when you see these what effectively look like storyboards, from behind the scenes. Um, they are working on a final part, and that was a part two of the same thing, and hoping to release it next year. Um, there were once plans to tour across both the US and the UK, but when they spoke in September, the plans have been tabled for now. Um, but you never know; they may be back. There may be a time will come when it can tour for real again. So the final click. Well, it's not quite the final click, but it's the final one as far as Twitter's concerned. um, this is right. This is a web page only, basically. This is a site called ISTE, and oh God, what ISTE conference? I forget what.
What?
What's ISTE stand for? I've forgotten. You'd know this, Jebs.
Yeah, I
Virtual
used to
Environments
know it.
Network.
Yeah,
It's education based as a rule.
right.
Yeah, I don't believe this. ISTE Conference and Expo. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Basically, this year's conference is going to be live, and e- uh, ed tech people basically. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to open a new tab with that in it, and I hope that it actually gives me the full this EdTech conference, reinventing education to get. No, it's
International
still ISTE.
Society for Technology and Education.
Ah, thank you.
Hmm.
Right, we did. Congratulations on looking out for that when I couldn't. Okay, fine. They're quite big. They had a presence in Second Life. I know that actually as well.
Hmm.
Um,
They still do. Yeah.
but everything is actually going to be virtual this year, so it's not just about the virtual activities; it's about the whole thing. Um, their incoming chair of the Virtual Environments Network including Designing Wonder. They're going to be led by Stanford's Caitlin Krauss, not to be confused with Caitlin at Tifoli. Um, Designing Wonder is an unsession focusing on SEO and mindfulness in VR. A lot to read here, and the focus of the sessions isn't actually on VR, it's about the shared experience. And okay, there's actually a link here too. This is going to conference.iste.org. So that's conference dot and then iste.org. And this has a whole load of information about the sessions, it says. There you are. It's Saturday the 5th. That will collide with a certain other conference, won't it? But no one.
Mm-hmm.
And cost money. So yeah, cheapest seat looks to be. Oh, it's expired. Oh, they're all expired. Right, so I don't know what they do. Double the fee for the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, to find out more about this, you can go to conference.iste.org, or just go to iste.org, which had the main article I opened for you a few seconds ago. Right, so now let's dispose of excess windows. And I'm going to quickly go over to these current things. I'm just going to talk about very quickly. They're not in any of the Twitter feeds. They're just some of them are in our Hypergrid Discord, Metaworld Discord server. Otherwise, they're just I keep track of them in Slack here. On Wednesday, um, we had the VR download. This will be the first one of the week, which
Are we good now? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
hello.
Hello, Kyle.
This is the first one of the week, isn't it, James? Where they can focus mostly on technology and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
whereas the second one is more towards games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think I watched this one.
I haven't
This
watched
last
either
week
of
has
them.
been
Yeah.
yeah, this week has been somewhat chaotic, and at
Yeah.
least I tagged them, so I've got them. I'll have to put a day aside to read all my so to watch all my tagged
Mm-hmm.
YouTubes
Mm-hmm.
day
Agreed.
in a day sitting on the big screen TV. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
Anyway, the site for this is Upload VR. And that's they've got the website, obviously Upload VR too. This is where they keep their videos, and the VR download comes up twice a week. It's a chat show, really. The first one of the week here, number 38, actually discusses technology and stuff like that. And there's a one later in the week, I think it was this week, which tackles the sort of the
Yeah.
actual games
I
and
got
things
noticed
like
there was
that.
one on Thursday. Yeah. On the
Yeah.
holiday in the United States. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, certain people like me, yeah, I don't know whether they. No, I think they're based in America, VR
Yeah.
download.
That was my impression as well.
People like me, of course, did not know. I mean, once upon a time I did have, so I was on, my partner in the States would tell me all the while I
Right.
know this
Right.
sort of thing was happening. But I had no idea Thanksgiving was coming up. We don't celebrate it here.
Mm-hmm.
Although I realise that it's almost like a Christmassy thing, but non-religious in the States.
It's a
Um,
thing.
yeah, but
It's.
I didn't know when it was coming, and and I couldn't even use Black Friday as a guide because that's the day after, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thursday's the Thanksgiving and Friday's Black Friday. The only problem is Black Friday. People have been advertising it for about a month, and I got to the point where I don't know which bloody Friday it's going to be. And they're all saying buy at Black Friday prices early. So quite frankly, when Thursday came, um, I was rather out of it for other reasons, and to have to have an American holiday dumped on me at the same time. Oh dear, please.
Just not a
Anyway,
priority, right?
no about it, right? Anyway, moving on. This one, this is a bit of an odd one. Naria Panther, that name's familiar. Oh, oh, right. This one is not really relevant. Sorry, this is it's cute enough, but it's not going to play anyway.
I'm not gonna play.
It's all about airports and flying in Second Life,
Hmm.
and it shouldn't be in this feed. Right. This is Gamer Tag VR, VR Link podcast. Right. Now this one, I right. This lasts for 2 hours and
Ooh.
15 minutes. So I'm not the only one who likes to have a long show or can't avoid it. This lot gabbing, probably a bit like VR upload with games. It's called the VR Link podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put that in context. They talk about various things. The bearded bard VR is quite a prominent guy on Twitter. The others I'm not really familiar with at all. But what they're talking about here is a new magazine that came out called VR Trend. Now, when I say it's a new magazine, you can't get it on Issue or Calameo or whatever. You can't get it in World on any platform. It is a real, you know, mushed up wood, paper, print thing. And I don't know, being as all the news agents are never actually closed, I don't know whether you can actually buy it anywhere unless you're actually a subscriber. But apparently, subscribers got it this week. And this is the first topic they're talking about here. And it's an interesting discussion because not so much the magazine, which I got the impression was probably a bit boring, um, but the argument about print versus digital. Some of these guys are saying, "Oh no, it's got to be digital. I don't like this. I don't like it. It's paper. It's that old stuff, you know." And other guys are saying, "Oh, this is great, you know, because it's real. It's tactile. It's print. You know, can't beat this. You know." So there's obviously well, whether it's a generation divide, I don't know, but there's obviously the thing here of like you either love it or leave it. It's probably like Marmite,
Oh no.
paper magazine.
Mm,
Well, yeah, you love it or leave it with Marmite. I think it's
I
a rule,
guess.
isn't
I
it?
guess.
This is their website, right? So it's the VR Trend magazine, and they were looking at this game called Lo-Fi. That's their cover on the first issue. 60 pages about VR goodness, mailed every other month by a minute. They got a Discord channel, of course, which is really probably the only way I've kept up with them because I can't be bothered to subscribe to a print magazine. But unlike the people in the argument, I have no opinions one way or the other. I do love print still. Great for comic books and things like that. But I just got too much around to start collecting something else. There was many years ago another Metaverse magazine. It's published out of Europe somewhere, and I think it lasted 5 or 6 issues, which I have somewhere. I'm actually missing the first issue.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember my college I had the first issue and didn't get the rest. Apparently, it's a bit of an odd mailing system, and that was actually very good. But it was back in the earlier days of, they. I think what this one would, the field itself is too big really for a print magazine to do any decent overall coverage. Is my opinion now. Anyway, this Gamer Tag Space VR is the name of this channel. The program's called VR Link Podcast, and you can subscribe to it at, well, Gamer Tag VR. So without further ado, um, I'm not going to load it. I've got a film here which is the cyber shoes, but there's an embed of that in the actual article that we looked at earlier. So if you go to read that article, you'll be able to play that one. Um, the second VR download, the link is the same as the one I did just a couple of seconds ago. This was, I've got it posted on Friday, in fact, and they were looking at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Hinge, Hitman 3, PSVR, Flight Sim, blah, blah, blah. So that was just for the gaming edition. Making sense of immersion, that first session. We had a brief look at already on the page where it was. And right, so we'll finish on a light-hearted something or other. Um, because I haven't listened to all this yet, but I tagged it because it's cute. It's not Second Life cute.
Oh, VR chat.
Well, this is it. I'm not sure where this, but the the channel here is called Disrupt.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Thea, who's obviously the host of this virtual convo, she's a VR enthusiast, streamer, and host of the Virtuality Show. And you can see her personal stuff by following a YouTube link there. Um, this, however, is just virtual conversation basically with her. So, as well as her own show, she's talking about the VR experiencing here. And it was quite interesting. I see, I got 9 minutes in. It was quite interesting
Hmm.
to listen to.
I came into VR chat and I
Yeah,
looked
VR
into
chat.
a mirror as my virtual avatar. I looked into a mirror as me. It was so surreal. Like that moment is kind of like burned into my memory forever. Because looking into the mirror, I didn't see something else. I saw this virtual representation of me, and I highly identify with this body. Like this body is
I'm not sure I do. I mean, it, oh, it's the same
I
thing.
totally
It's
the
yeah.
virtuality view
This
as
is
I'm
one
like
of these
walking
strange
casually along the
things
street and
where
seeing what.
I couldn't resist. I'm going to find time and listen to that whole thing. It is 50 minutes long. You know, um, I'm afraid I have a visual disconnect. I often do with VR chat. Yeah, the camera here doesn't move, so I can't really tell whether she's legless or not. But certainly doesn't sound legless. She sounds very sober. Um, she's good. As an audio podcast, I would be just captivated by this. But seeing her, the camera's not moving very much, and she says she feels embodied by that avatar. I mean, I guess the white on white background is a bit distressing too. They should have done something about that. But it, I tend to think of Japanese manga or something when I look at her. I can tell from her voice she's obviously not Japanese or anything like that. But anyway, I just get a visual disconnect, despite the fact it's actually a really good program. There's a whole load of mixed stuff from their channel. Basically, what you've got in there, you've got the intro, custom avatar creation, origin story, most interesting thing about VR, content of the future, extending life through simulations, digital religions, using real life skills for VR philosophy, and then creating a learning in the virtual age. So they cover quite a bit in 50 minutes. And, it's really good listening. Um, ah, audio, you can get the audio experience. Looky here. Right, so if I go there and then click listen on Spotify, I may have done this already, but never hurts. And yeah, there we are. Uh, yeah, I tend to stick with Spotify for my music, but these days I'm adding all sorts of things there too. Rather than have one podcast player for audio, conversations, and a music player and stuff like that, I'm shoveling it all into. I shovel it all now into Spotify, and I've been a subscriber with them for quite a while. Right, so I'll put that away. Page not available. View a saved version courtesy of the Internet Archive. Well, that's nice of them. Don't need to though, do I? Right, okay. So let's close all that loss. I've pretty much finished. Clear out the old RAM in the process, and yeah, that I think is it.
Oh
There may be
my.
more.
Okay.
Oh my, oh my. Do you think we should just have one last look at a certain site? Nah, I haven't got an excuse.
Okay, you can just say it if you want.
Okay, well, many thanks to all the sites that contributed to my newsfeed, including. Yeah, because we talk about XR, we talk about AR, we talk about MR, we talk about VR, but at the end of the day,
We are.
we are. Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Any thoughts, James, on that epical ride?
Um, no, nothing in particular. I can only emphasize the Open Simulator conference again coming up next
Oh, of
weekend,
course, yeah.
and um, the VR chat thing. VR chat still has I think a very compelling experience just because it does very well support full body animation. If you have the kit at home, you can feel pretty embodied in an avatar regardless of the appearance. I think it can be very
Yeah,
interesting.
I've sort of gathered that a bit from watching. I don't know whether I mentioned it last week. I probably did, but the British Library here had VR Rosie, the VR artist,
Mm. Mhm.
do a special with them, and I was interested in the way they filmed that because they were talking to her live and looking through the camera. You were seeing her real self with a headset on, but the environment she was in was a virtual environment. So somehow they managed to put her real life self into a virtual environment with her headset on, and you could see her painting live. It was I haven't, can't for the life of me figure out how they did it. It must be some kit that
Mhm. Mhm.
enabled them to mix the two things.
Right.
But it was so wonderful to watch, and of course her avatar was a full-bodied avatar. But I'm pretty sure it was in VR chat. Um, yeah, but and often, because I know you use a headset and things, and I've seen it enough myself to know that you're in that first person view in a headset. So it's like some other virtual worlds you go to where you don't see your own avatar.
Mhm.
So you're not really aware that you don't have legs or you've got gawky looking eyes because you don't see yourself.
Uh-huh.
In some places like here in OpenSim, you can go from third person to first person. You can, fuck around basically. But some worlds environments force it on you. But the problem is, so you can say, oh, it doesn't matter whether I got legs or not. But the problem is, you can still see other people, and when you see them disembodied, um, it's it doesn't seem like. I'm reminded of a oh God, I don't know whether I've got it. I've got this. I've just loaded that picture again of the Open Sim Community Conference. I was going through my pictures the other day actually, and I found a rather funny one. I'm just seeing if I can find it quickly because it's sort of a bit like the point I'm trying to make all of a sudden. Uh, oh, I've got too many hundreds of thousands of pictures, really. Um, no, it's much older than any of these. It was, hmm, nah, far too much here. I'm never going to find it, I'm afraid.
Okay.
But yeah, um, basically, it was an animated GIF, and it showed a guy. I don't know what he was doing on his phone or playing around or something. And a door behind him opens, and what appears to be a bloke dressed as a ghost comes in.
Hmm.
It's a Halloweeny type of gag. You know, and he comes over, and he jumps slightly, and then he looks at the bloke dressed up as a goat and laughs his head off, and swipes the white sheet off the guy. But
Oh.
there isn't a guy underneath.
Oh.
So it really is a ghost kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then he really jumps out of his seat. It's
Right.
probably
Right.
all staged. It's probably all staged, of course, but it rams the point home, and it's that kind of disconnect. You can believe in a ghost because you believe it's somebody with a white sheet on.
Mhm.
But the moment you remove the white sheet and realise it really isn't a guy wearing a white sheet, all hell breaks loose. And
Right. Right.
that's the thing I get with the visual disconnect. There has to be, you can dress an avatar up to absurd levels, but um, I don't want to see something that looks almost real without anything below the waist. I'd rather see a disembodied object as an avatar. Do you remember before the current CEO of Linden Labs was a chap called Rodvik,
Mhm.
who was a CEO, and he never did get a proper avatar. He was always a little spaceshipy sort of thing.
Yep.
Whenever he turned up to open like second last birthday party, he came in and people were looking around for him, and then they realised it was this there's just this object. It's like an aeroplane or something. And that was Rovik. And it sort of worked because he obviously couldn't be bothered to make a humanoid avatar for himself. Oh, those were the
Yeah,
days.
yep,
But so he just found something off the shelf. He was a game designer, so he was really into game objects and things like that.
sure, sure,
Traditionally.
yep,
So but it worked because it was so stupid and over the top that you just take it as something weird that happens in the virtual world. My problem, the disconnect is some with the VR chat, the legless wonders of the new virtual worlds. There we are. That was the title of an
all
article.
right, all
The
right,
legless wonders of the new virtual worlds.
mm-hmm,
That's a good title for I might get around to writing a blog with a title like that. Right. Yeah, but you get the idea. Disconnect.
yep,
Anyway, we better go. I've sort of done the VR. We are, and
yes, yep,
asked
yep,
you
yep.
about this and there. Okay, folks. So I regret to announce that we will not be back at the same time, same place next week. Because, as you can see on the screen here, those dates are the Open Simulator Community Conference. Now, this time next week, I will probably have just started hosting one of the panels on the Sunday and doing one on Saturday too. But basically, I'll be busy there. With James filming me, I might add. I
Yeah,
insist on James. If he
yeah,
isn't already booked for those slots, he better be. Uh, and available for replay. But we won't actually be back with this program probably, unless there's some really urgent news or can't wait or something, for a fortnight. Fortunately, we're moving into that what is called the holiday season. I don't know how much of it there'll be this year, but traditionally it's a slow period. We sort of end of November means we've left the conference season, and traditionally everybody's powering down for the holiday season.
right, right,
It's and things like universities and schools and stuff that rely on term times, they're coming to their end now too. So it's a lull in the year. So I would expect there won't be quite so much news over the next few weeks anyway. The only good news, we are hoping that in about 3 weeks the virus will be distributed. No, sorry, the vaccine will be distributed. Oh, I nearly got that
Give
one
me some of that
wrong, didn't
virus.
I?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fuck the vaccine. I want the virus. Oops, that's not right. Yeah, exactly. Well, over here apparently, sort of, there's a chance that I will get a vaccine near the end of December or beginning of January. So
Oh,
that's to look forward to. Well, I'm in the priority thing, thank
mm-hmm.
goodness. Yeah, we will see what we'll see. So maybe there is good news on the horizon. But anyway, the horizon for now is next week's conference, Open Simulator Community Conference. It doesn't say so on the board there, but if you go to conference.opensimulator.org,
Well, and I've
you
got,
will find everything you need to know.
yep, I put it in the lower third, so,
Oh, right. So
yep,
yes, I can see my screen, but I can't see the broadcast lower third. So we mix and match here. If you don't get
that's
it
all
one
right.
way, you get it in another.
Yep,
Yeah, indeed. Okay, that's great. Okay, so we'll see you in 2 weeks, or rather a fortnight. In the meantime, do join us at the Open Simulator Community Conference, but also stay safe and look after yourselves. And we will see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
yeah.
Can we do a room?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm off. Hey!